Nelson Chamisa, a name synonymous with contemporary Zimbabwean politics, has traversed a remarkable journey from humble beginnings to the national stage. His story is one of determination, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to his country. Born in 1978 in the rural community of Gutu in Masvingo province, Chamisa's early life was deeply rooted in the rural experience of Zimbabwe. The simplicity and challenges of rural life shaped his character and worldview. Growing up in a newly independent Zimbabwe, Chamisa witnessed firsthand the aspirations and challenges of a nation transitioning from colonial rule. This period of transformation left a lasting impression on him, fueling his desire to contribute to his country's development. His parents, farmers by profession, instilled in him the values of hard work, resilience, and a commitment to social justice. These values became the bedrock of his personal and professional life. Chamisa's early education took place in local schools where he excelled academically. His teachers recognized his potential and encouraged him to pursue his studies with dedication. His sharp intellect and eloquence were evident from a young age. Chamisa was not just a bright student, but also a natural leader among his peers. He later proceeded to Harare, the capital city, to pursue higher education, enrolling at the University of Zimbabwe. This move marked a significant step in his journey, exposing him to new ideas and opportunities. It was at the university that Chamisa's political consciousness began to take shape. He became actively involved in student activism, advocating for the rights and welfare of his fellow students. The vibrant intellectual atmosphere and exposure to diverse perspectives further fueled his interest in social and political issues. This period was crucial in shaping his future path as a political leader and advocate for change in Zimbabwe. The University of Zimbabwe in the late 1990s was a hotbed of political activism. Students were at the forefront of demanding greater democracy and social justice in Zimbabwe, often clashing with the increasingly authoritarian government of Robert Mugabe. Nelson Chamisa, a charismatic and articulate law student, was drawn to the burgeoning student movement. He quickly rose to prominence within the student body, becoming a vocal advocate for democratic reforms and human rights. As Secretary General of the Zimbabwe National Students' Union, or ZINASU, Chamisa spearheaded numerous protests and demonstrations against government corruption, economic mismanagement, and human rights abuses. His courage and determination in the face of state repression earned him the respect of fellow students and the ire of the authorities. The experiences of his student activism would profoundly shape Chamisa's political beliefs and future trajectory. He witnessed firsthand the brutal realities of Mugabe's regime and the urgent need for change in Zimbabwe. The formation of the Movement for Democratic Change, or MDC, in 1999 marked a turning point in Zimbabwean politics. Led by trade unionist Morgan Tsvangirai, the MDC emerged as the first serious challenge to ZANU-PF's decades-long rule. Nelson Chamisa, fresh out of university, joined the MDC and quickly rose through the ranks. His eloquence, charisma, and ability to connect with ordinary Zimbabweans made him a valuable asset to the nascent opposition party. At the age of 25, Chamisa was elected as a Member of Parliament, becoming the youngest parliamentarian in Zimbabwean history. His parliamentary speeches were often fiery and passionate, challenging the government on issues ranging from corruption to human rights abuses. As the MDC's national spokesperson, Chamisa became a prominent voice of opposition, articulating the party's vision for a democratic and prosperous Zimbabwe. He gained international recognition for his courage and eloquence in speaking truth to power. Section 4. Navigating the turbulent waters of Zimbabwean politics. The early 2000s were a tumultuous period in Zimbabwean politics. The MDC's challenge to ZANU-PF's rule was met with brutal repression. Opposition supporters were subjected to violence, intimidation, and arbitrary arrests. Nelson Chamisa, as a prominent MDC leader, found himself in the crosshairs of the state's crackdown. He was arrested on numerous occasions, detained without trial, and subjected to physical assaults. In 2007, while on his way to a political rally, Chamisa was brutally attacked by suspected state security agents. He sustained serious injuries and had to be hospitalized. This incident drew international condemnation and highlighted the dangers faced by opposition figures in Zimbabwe. Despite the constant threats and intimidation, Chamisa remained undeterred. He continued to speak out against the government's excesses, advocating for a peaceful transition to a democratic Zimbabwe. Section 5. The MDC split and Chamisa's leadership challenge. The death of Morgan Tsvangirai, the MDC's founding leader, in February 2018 plunged the party into a leadership crisis. Tsvangirai had been a towering figure in Zimbabwean politics, and his passing left a significant void in the opposition party. Nelson Chamisa, then one of the party's 3 vice presidents, emerged as a frontrunner to succeed Tsvangirai. His youthful energy and charismatic oratory skills quickly garnered him a substantial following within the party. However, Chamisa's claim to leadership was contested by other factions within the MDC, leading to a bitter internal power struggle. Senior party members, including Thokozani Kupe, challenged his ascendancy, arguing that proper procedures were not followed. The party split, with Chamisa leading the larger faction which retained the name MDC Alliance. This faction aimed to continue Tsvangirai's legacy and push for democratic reforms in Zimbabwe. The leadership dispute, which played out in the courts and on the streets, exposed the fragility of opposition unity in Zimbabwe. Legal battles and public confrontations highlighted the deep divisions within the party. It also raised concerns about the MDC's ability to present a united front against ZANU-PF in the upcoming elections. The infighting threatened to weaken the opposition's chances of challenging the ruling party effectively. Despite the internal divisions, Chamisa managed to consolidate his leadership of the MDC alliance. He worked tirelessly to bring together different factions and build a cohesive strategy for the elections. He embarked on a vigorous campaign trail, crisscrossing the country, mobilizing support for the party's vision of change. Chamisa's efforts aimed to inspire hope among Zimbabweans and galvanize them towards a new political future. Section 6. 2018 Presidential Election, a watershed moment. The 2018 Zimbabwean general election was a watershed moment in the country's post-independence history, marking a significant turning point. It was the first election without Robert Mugabe on the ballot following his ouster in a military coup in November 2017, ending his 37-year rule. Nelson Chamisa, as the leader of the MDC alliance, faced off against Emmerson Mnangagwa, Mugabe's former deputy and the ZANU-PF candidate, in a highly anticipated contest. The election was seen as a critical test of whether Zimbabwe was ready to turn the page on its authoritarian past and embrace a new democratic era. Chamisa ran a vibrant and energetic campaign, drawing huge crowds at his rallies, showcasing his charisma and ability to connect with the masses. He promised to usher in a new era of democracy, economic prosperity, and national healing, appealing to the hopes and dreams of many Zimbabweans. His message resonated particularly well with young people who make up the majority of Zimbabwe's population and were eager for change. The election results, however, were disputed, leading to significant controversy and tension. The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, or ZEC, declared Mnangagwa the winner with 50.8% of the vote, narrowly avoiding a runoff, which many found suspicious. Chamisa rejected the results, alleging widespread irregularities and rigging, and called for an independent audit of the election process to ensure fairness and transparency.